Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
I think Jerry should kick this one off. It's always a fun one when Jerry starts it off.
Yeah, it's usually relevant and relatable.
All right,
related.
I got something that's on topic. Tommy, question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to J.R. Robinson a while back, and some of you may know him. He's actually a real heavyweight among session drummers. Like he was on Michael Jackson's Off the Wall. He plays with Barbra Streisand and has for years, and is it David Foster? Like he's on like maybe 40% of the records. He was on like that Daft Punk album that came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's on
They had
everything.
drummers?
So they did. Yeah. You know what
All
they
right.
did? Actually, they my understanding is they hired like a bunch of Michael Jackson's band.
Oh, really?
And they're
That's
they're like, well, who did Michael Jackson use? They're like, well, okay, great. But anyway, he said he was on Higher Love by Steve Winwood and like that era. And he said, I did a bunch of like timbali stuff, like in the beginning of that song kind of starts like that. And there's like a lot of percussion and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, when I did that, he's like, I kept getting calls like for the next several years afterwards saying like, hey man, can you come in and do that sort of timbali percussion thing that you did on Steve Winwood's record? And I had to think about, like, I went back and I listened to Higher Love by Steve Winwood, a couple of other, those were like massive hits in the 80s, like maybe the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And like, do you know, like if I say that to you, do you know what that means? Like, do you understand that aesthetic? Like,
You mean the percussion-y stuff at the beginning of that song?
Like you hear it in that song, like
Yeah.
the Steve Winwood album from that period, and then you're like, then yes, it did become a thing for like 3 or 4 years after. It's like a real thing. And he told me, he's like, yeah, I got called to do all that. Like, yeah, whatever you did on Stevie Winwood's record.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I was wondering, if you listen to that song, by the way, I never knew this. I love the background vocals on that towards the end. And do you know who that is? The second I tell you, you'll be like, oh yeah.
You're stretching my memory of any Steve Winwood 80s songs. But
sure,
okay, go ahead.
Sure. Well, I mean, but do you think that song was ubiquitous?
It was
everywhere.
That's why I remember the percussion part. Yeah.
Right. It's Shaka Khan.
Oh, I think I knew that actually. That rings a bell. Okay.
Oh, did you hear Pete's clutching his pearls? No, but so is that, and this is why I'm looking at you, Tommy. I picked you out. Is that a good song / do you like that song?
I don't like that song, but it's probably, I couldn't argue how it was a bad song. I just don't like it. It's like, there's nothing wrong with it necessarily. It just sounds so much like, it's very indicative of like a whole swath of kind of weak 80s stuff that I don't care about. So I wouldn't steer towards that song. I don't like it. No.
Sure.
No.
Well, yeah, and you were just starting to like get into Neil Young and listen to a lot more of that, which doesn't, when that song was out, you were doing that. So
my favorite part about all this is that Jerry said, "Oh, I've got a great way to start this. It's going to be really relevant."
Yeah, it's really relevant. We've got the Steve Winwood connection, Shaka Khan. So it's connected that way. Yeah. Well, it is called Anything Goes. So that makes sense. Because apparently everything does. Jerry has taken the title of the show to heart. And anything goes, even Steve Winwood. He's one of those guys who he was like, I mean, I'm not a student of Steve Winwood, but he did like some legit cool stuff back in the olden days. Like he was like a teenager in whatever the what was that band that
Was he in Blind Faith?
No.
I don't know.
Wait,
It was like
he?
it was like
No,
the other
not
one.
that. No,
Traffic.
way back.
Traffic.
Traffic. Yeah, is that?
Yeah,
is that
that's
it?
what I always. Yeah, I think it's Traffic.
But what's the other one? There was like the.
Blind Traffic.
I want to say Bachman Turner Overdrive, but that's not it. There's something like that.
No, you're absolutely right.
Give me some lovin'. What's that?
Oh,
song?
really? Oh,
What's that
wow.
band? Yeah.
That's wow. I'm actually looking it up because I do want to know because I know exactly what you're talking.
I promise we're going to
about.
talk about Star Wars later. I
Oh,
promise.
the Spencer Davis Group.
There, thank you. I was right.
Yes.
Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Yeah. So, okay, real quick. Here's what it is. Spencer Davis Group, Traffic, Blind Faith. No way, I was right.
Blind Faith?
He
Wait, what
was.
did Blind
He was
Faith do?
I have no idea. Eric Clapton, Jim Capaldi. Oh, he was in Ginger Baker's Air Force. Jimi Hendrix,
Oh, weird.
Phil Collins, and Billy Joel. Like, those are the associated acts.
That's a real dodgy, like every one of those is like, oh, they had some real peaks and real triumphs and then like a lot of, oh my God, oh no. Like Phil Collins, Eric Clapton, like,
What?
yes, like you can't just completely dismiss them, but oh my God, there's so much garbage you got to go along with.
Yeah,
If you're gonna get into that.
I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it every single day. Phil Collins is an incredible drummer.
Anyway, we're here to thank all the Patreons who have supported the show through these dry times. Dry is a bitter Phil Collins melody coming your way through the radio. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you punch your radio right in the face, it just keeps coming through. You got your studio, you got your, I don't know, Invisible Touch, all the hits.
It's a no fun.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you know, it's a weird song and not a great song, but I don't know what's up. The groove is incredible. It's incredible.
I'm impressed with anybody who can sing and play drums at the same time. I'll say that. And the only two people who I know who can do it are both, as far as I can tell, complete a-holes. Phil Collins and that other guy from the Eagles, Don Henley.
You're forgetting what about Levon Helm from the band?
Is it Levon? Really? I was saying
I don't know.
Levon.
Levon. Well, Levon. Well,
'cause it's the
Levon
Elton
Helm.
John
It
song.
can be. Yeah, I know it can be Levon Helm.
I guess you're right. You're absolutely right, though. Yeah.
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 By the way, all that in the air tonight, everybody plays that wrong.
Curse
They
them.
do. They play it wrong. It's a two-handed thing. Like he plays that beat with both hands, like blue blue goo blue blue goo blue goo blue blue goo blue goo blue. It's both hands.
So go forth and do good, everybody. From now on, use two hands for every one of those. That was a thing. We're never going to get the show started. That was a thing because didn't he produce that album by one of the women from ABBA?
Oh, it was
Frida.
incredible. It's one.
And it was
it's
the exact
Frida, yeah.
same thing.
There's something- No, he
There's
go.
something
Wait a minute.
going
I'm
on.
gonna say that opening beat
Oh, it is.
is one of the greatest beats I've ever heard in my life.
I actually like it, but it's a thing though. It's like you found a button to press on the thing.
There's no hi-hat. There's nothing subdividing. No, I know. He had a tone. It's like super gated and it's concert toms. And you go, that's one of the hardest things to come up with is a unique sound.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with you, Tommy, for the record, there's a lot of things that Phil Collins is on that I find unlistenable.
Thank you. That's all I wanted. I just
Yeah.
want people to hate Phil Collins. That's all.
Yeah. And
So
we-
by
like I
my-
said,
Togetherness and self-reflection.
By
What,
my watch, this has been about 8 minutes so far.
Mhm.
And I just want to say, Tom, I'm adding you to the jazz group.
Oh man.
Pete and
didn't
I,
deserve that.
yeah, we had an entire like alternate universe where Pete and Neil and John Engel and a couple
Jamie,
other
the
people-
archaeologist, and
yeah,
Brett. And, yeah.
we've all been talking about jazz and
And I was very nice, and I kept Tom off it because he.
yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, I was
and
understood.
And then I
Tom
talked about Phil
hates
Collins for
jazz.
too
So I
long,
get-
and now I got to
I
listen
get
to jazz.
Genesis and the Eagles for
Oh,
10 minutes.
I'm sorry, Pete. I deserve that. You know what's really funny? The internet is funny because, like the other day, I'm in a chat group with you guys. Do they call them chat groups? I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm in a thing with my old ABC Devo pals, Pete the Retailer and Joe Mazel and John Engel, who's also in your group. your jazz group. And John Engel's like, hey, I talk to Jerry and Pete all the time, but it's about jazz and baseball. I'm like, okay, well, you and me, we'll stick over here. We'll talk about Star Trek and Devo. It'll be great. This is the way it should be. Lucky you get to straddle the two groups.
Yeah,
exactly like the high school cafeteria.
It is.
Like Brett comes over to sit down at the table. And you're like, no, wait.
Right.
Table, no,
wait, we're still talking about
yeah.
D&D. Where are you going? Oh, I got to go over to these guys and talk about when band practices. I'll be right back.
Oh my
Calm
God.
down.
I remember sitting there in high school with my tray in my hand, trying to look preoccupied, thinking what seat would be an acceptable seat for me. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just spaced out there for a minute. I was trying to sit down.
It's
Yeah.
easier when you just sit by yourself.
Oh, that's the move.
Well,
It wasn't.
No bother,
It wasn't really an intentional move, but yeah,
But you embraced it.
I think that's Pete's whole life philosophy.
Yeah.
sort of foisted upon me. But
Aw. Boy, this is a rocky start. I apologize to everybody, including us.
And we foisted it upon them.
But this is Anything Goes, and we do want to thank you, beautiful people, before we start talking about Star Wars some more, because it's a very good movie, and we're excited to talk about it. We hope you're all doing well. All of you, especially and including Mr. Fred Star Wars, more like Star Won't.
He's still on that.
He is. He's got a bee in his bonnet. I should say, like, as we're recording this, my son is watching Force Awakens upstairs, and I watched like the first half of it. I'm like, I'm not. The moment has passed. I'm not into this. I'm not.
Wow.
It's not connecting with me. It feels a little tainted already. I don't know.
Which
I'll
one
get
is
over it.
that?
That's the first of the new ones.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. We also want to thank 2-1 Beckett. And we want to thank Andrew with 2 A's and Jalad in isolation at Tanagra. And we also want to thank Airport Says Apollo 13 and its final 30 episodes. Big guests a coming.
he means it
wow.
too.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
heard tell of maybe a couple of those guests. And if that comes through, Jim reigns supreme.
Yeah.
As if we didn't
Yeah.
already know that.
Yeah.
We also want to thank Black Lives Matter.
Yep.
And we want to
Yep.
thank Brady. We want to thank Brent, who's sporting a very out of regulation Brendan Fraser do. Wow.
I'm not
Wow.
far behind. I play for the Bad News Bears.
Really?
That's great.
Awesome. Yeah. I cut my hair. I'm all tidy. I'm
I
all.
don't know how you did that. Yeah, I haven't. I
I got
in
clippers and
months.
stuff. You look weird. You look just plain weird.
Yeah, that's true. It's
Look like-
true.
Victor French on Little House on the Prairie. Hey, no, Charles. What you want to do is
Wait for old Dan Tucker. You're too late to bother. Ah,
just
yeah.
hook your thumb in the eye of the jug there, and you just hold her back and lift with the elbow. You're not Charles. Wait a minute. Get back here.
Where did Mr. Edwards live? Because I always
know.
feel like he was
Under
just,
somebody's house.
Yeah.
Some tree somewhere.
He's-
Get out
yeah.
of my tree.
Inside a tauntaun.
And then he was on Highway to Heaven, too, which I never watched, but you couldn't miss that he was on that show
Yeah.
with Michael Landon.
Yeah, he had
should
like
just-
the red plaid. He always had the red plaid
Yeah.
shirt on.
The
Yeah. I
suspenders.
remember
Yeah.
he showed up and he was like Santa Claus, but everybody probably died of tuberculosis anyway.
Right.
I love Little House on the Prairie. They so often ended on like just a like, oh damn, just like that, huh?
Yeah.
Like the 11-year-old went over the waterfall and died.
It's called morphine. It'll make you feel better. Take as much as you want. Go nuts. It's a frontier.
Like Doc Baker would come out and you're expecting, he's like, she'll be fine by morning.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, she's not going to make it.
Yeah. She lost 3 legs already. I'm trying to save the other one. We'll see what we can do. It's all sweaty, covered in blood.
My God. News?
And we all know the episode we're not even referring to.
Yeah. There's 10.
Oh
of
my
them.
God. Look it up. Look it up. Sylvia. Okay. We also want to thank Brian and Brian, and Carson, and Chewy has a barrow in the marketplace. Mala is the singer in a band. And we want to thank Chris. Go Indiana Jones Minute.
And hey,
Woo!
congratulations
We're
to Chris. He just finished his thesis. I think he's
Oh, get out of here.
yeah.
That's
Nice.
terrific.
Congratulations.
I think he's an official military historian.
I saw
Wow.
that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I say go
Chris.
Chris.
Yeah.
That's what I say. I turn it back around on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's
Awesome.
now a master of military history.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
That's impressive. We also want to thank Klaus and COVID-19, center of the quarantine system, and Cubs fan and Dan. Oh, and Darth Patreonus asks, what's your favorite summer movie or song? I mean, that's like, you know,
Yeah. Higher
people are
love.
asking online, like, what's your favorite black and white movie? Like, favorite black and white movie? That's like, you know, what's your favorite of these 100,000 movies? What is your favorite summer movie or song?
That's tough.
That's
I'm just
really
gonna say
tough.
Summertime by Miles Davis.
Oh,
Hmm.
it's not
I'm just
bad.
gonna take it a little more literally.
Yeah. Well, what's tough is do you have to put the song against the movie, or do you get to pick one of each?
No. I think it's just whatever. I'm
Movie
taking
or
this
song.
as
Yeah.
what's your like what hits you like a summery thunderbolt when you hear the song or see the movie.
Oh wow! Well, what
What puts you in that summertime place?
I'll say this straight up. I'm not even saying it's my favorite song or anything like that, but for summer, Huey Lewis, "The Power of Love."
Really?
Oh,
That's,
I mean, just I hear that. You don't hear it that
Pete
often.
wishes he could put Jerry back in the jazz thing again.
That song was everywhere. That
Mhm.
Yeah.
and Axel F.
Yeah.
and "Get Into the Groove" by Madonna
Yeah,
and "It's a Cruel Summer"
yeah.
by Bananarama.
These are all. Oh, you know what really does it for me? This is a kind of random one. Would it like absolutely because I haven't heard it a ton since this summer, but whenever I hear it, it kind of sends me right back to the summer of '84, and that's "Jam on It" by Nucleus. Is that
Nucleus,
it?
yeah.
Yeah,
I love that song.
That sounds so much like summer, and like summer's about to happen. It's like the tail
Yep.
end of the school year and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know the weirdest show I ever saw was when when Willie Brown, mayor of San Francisco, was first elected. I went to his inauguration party.
Oh wow.
And playing live, like they had, it was local people playing live, like playing the live show, and it was Wavy Gravy, John Lee Hooker, and Huey Lewis in the News,
Wow.
which was the weirdest lineup I think I've ever heard.
That is really weird.
Imagine
I went for
Wow.
John Lee Hooker, but
yeah. John Lee Hooker and Huey Lewis afterwards.
Wow.
it was weird. It was really weird.
That would be really weird. My gosh. That's
Man.
yeah, you could pick a lot of summer tunes. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the summer. Yeah, there's like also things like Funk Number 49 by the James Gang. That just sounds like
or
that
actually
wasn't
just
like a summer
Funk
thing to me, but it
49.
just sound. What did I say?
Funk Number 49.
It's got a number thing in front
It's
of it.
Funk 49.
God damn it, I'm looking it up right now. Because I always call it Funk 49 and I thought I was correcting myself.
Well, all right. I've never ever.
It's got a
heard it
number
called
symbol
that.
right in
I
front of it.
understand.
Funk
I
Number
understand.
49.
God, I've never heard it ever.
Well, they
called
never
that.
say it in the song, so you never heard it said before at all, ever. Funk Number
just-
49.
Funk Number 49. Oh my gosh! Go sit at the other table, will you?
I'm going to. I'm going to the table that's got all the ampersands and the hashtags and the. Forget it. Leave my milk. But no, that song's just got like a kind of generalized, like, you're outside and you're probably not wearing a shirt or something. There's some weird, crazy rock and roll song playing, and yeah, that was never me, but I'd like it to be. We also want to thank Dave. Wait, what?
No, go ahead.
Okay. We do. We want to thank Dave. We want to thank Death Star Attack. We're gonna die right now. We want to thank Deep Blue Sea, Scene by Scene, coming soon.
Ooh.
Wow, that's
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
It's fun. I saw that in the theater.
Huh.
Yeah. We also want to thank a guy wearing headphones, and Doris, and Doug, and Eric, and Fables of Faubus.
Oh, there
And-
you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charles Mingus.
And Father David and
Hooray.
Hillary. And if you could augment your own talents and abilities with those of another person, alive or dead, who would you choose?
Wow.
Jeez,
Holy smokes.
who sent that in?
I don't know.
Kevin.
Because that's their name.
Our buddy Kevin in Utah.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
That's
couldn't tell from
good.
his email address.
Yeah.
You know what I
Huh.
know?
Wow.
I would say I would love Edgar Allan Poe's ability to tell a story.
Oh,
Hmm,
interesting.
that's a
okay.
good one.
Yeah.
After whatever it is, 4 months of quarantine, I think I would take who's the guy at the French Laundry? Thomas Keller. Just because I cannot cook worth anything. So it would be wonderful just to be able to go in
Oh.
and just like cook up anything I wanted.
Yeah, was it like the world's best restaurant or whatever? Where is it?
Yeah.
Is it Sonoma?
It's Napa, Sonoma, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's a waiting list of 82
I think-
years or whatever.
I think you have to call exactly 1 year ahead of the day you want to go, and then
Wow.
yeah,
So get your call in. Just do it now.
yeah.
It's a big
it
deal.
might be open by then. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would love to be able to do a cartwheel. I would love to do a cartwheel. I can't do it, and I probably never will. I'm a tall, gangly goofball, and yeah, it'd just be fun to do a
whose
cartwheel.
cartwheel? Kurt Thomas?
Oh, I know exactly. No, Roger Daltrey's and Tommy. And
Okay.
when he first I'm free, and he's just running down the thing, and the camera's following him. He's just doing like countless cartwheels and leaps and stuff, and it's just fantastic. It's like the most joyous thing you've ever seen.
That's good. That's good. By
Yeah.
the way, just shout out to Kurt Thomas. We had some tough news a little while back. He passed away. He was he was in Gymkhana, and he was a famous Olympian, and he brought a lot
Yeah.
to the sport.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
I
missed that whole
remember him
Gymkhana
from growing
thing.
up. Yeah, no, I
I did
remember him
too.
growing up, and I read that in the news, and it was really interesting. I mean, his moves were amazing. It was really interesting. I mean, it was terrible to hear that he passed away. Fairly young, but he did a lot for that sport. That maybe we talked about Gymkhana, I think, on this show at one point.
we did?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I
Maybe you
think we did. Maybe we did
Yeah.
at my table.
Thanks, Jared.
That was in your jazz discussion group. We also want to thank in Jedi, Leia says it only takes one to sound the alarm. She does, that's true. We also want to thank Indy 5, Indiana Jones and the Trident of Aquilos.
Hey, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Randy had a birthday last week.
That's
Happy
awesome.
birthday, Indy 5 and Indiana Jones
Yeah.
and the Trident of Aquilos. That's fun. We like birthdays. We want to thank It's Jonathan.
Yeah.
We talked to those guys not too
Yeah.
long ago.
Yeah. Bat Minute. We were on
Yeah.
talking about Batman Forever.
Yeah. But it wasn't that long. Just like 1 minute of the movie. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. We also want to thank Jasmine and Jeff and Jeffrey and Jeremy and John and Joshua, Inexorable Tash, and Justin and Kingdom of the Crystal Scroll, and Lori and Mark and Matt and Matthew and Michael and Mom to Remy and Drew and Natalie and Natsuki Best Doki. And Neil asks, our friend Neil Brown, Sega or Nintendo? I mean, I'm
I feel like Neil's of a slightly different age group.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I had the Atari 2600,
Yeah.
and then that was it.
Yeah.
Until
The
like
Commodore
the
64
Xbox or
and-
something.
Yeah. Yeah, I never had
think-
either of those.
I it's weird. I didn't either, although I played one like for about a year or two, but I only played, it was at my friend's house, and we played Bill Walsh football. And it was
Oh wow.
incredible. Yeah, they pitted all the high school teams college teams from the different years together. So you could be like, I can't remember. You could be like, was it Herschel Walker's team from 1981, or maybe it was 80, or like Bo Jackson's team from 81, or it was like that's all I remember. And I think it was maybe Sega.
Yeah, I think I played Sega college basketball.
What was the one that had dodgeball?
I don't remember.
That was
television?
Pete. Remember Bill Lloyd lived down
Oh,
on
yeah.
our hall in college?
Yeah.
Bill and I used to play dodgeball. And I'd tell you, whatever that was, that's the one. That game was one of the all-time greatest games, period.
Oh, my friends were all super into the Sega because of the hockey games on it.
Yeah.
The hockey
I
on
remember
Sega
that.
was really huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then I had my girlfriend's Super Nintendo in college, and I played all the Star Wars games on that, and that was fun.
Oh, that's
So there's no save feature on that stupid thing. So I would spend like the morning playing like Super Mario Brothers 3 and getting back to where I was the night before when I lost. And I put a big sign on the TV, don't touch this. And I come back from classes, and then I die and then start over again. Big waste of time. Thanks for nothing, Neil. Oh, and I played tons of Robotron on the Apple IIe at high school.
Huh.
That was fun in the AV room because it was cool. We also want to thank Nicholas and None Believable and Orange Bee Cooper and Patrick and Pella and Runebot, Techno Union rep back from WCB.
I learned what WCB means.
Oh, get
yeah.
out of here. What is it?
Yeah, he tweeted me, Will Crystal Beth.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Of
He was on this
course.
campaign for months and
Yeah.
months and months. And he's like, all right. I think I made my point known.
It's incredible.
Well, thank you, Runebot. That was well done.
Yeah.
Because we were refusing to have her back. And I think we finally decided to have her back. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
well done. We also want to thank Sagacious Crumb and Sasha and Scott and our old buddy Scott Roseanne and Sean and Steve and Stina and Sully Baseball.
Woo.
yeah.
And
Durham.
yeah, Bull Durham.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet. Is there
We're
still
all
time?
supposed to do that together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Do we know
Yeah.
when we're doing that?
No.
All right. Well, somebody find out and tell me so I can watch the movie. I've never seen it before.
He said he's
Uh,
going to give us that, like that entire 8-minute horrible sex scene that goes on and on and on and on.
Rock
Oh,
and
that
roll.
sounds
Eating-
just like us.
Eating like the cereal off the floor and the.
God, what?
I don't even
Wait,
know.
is that
what you're
9.5
I never saw
weeks?
the movie.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. 50 Shades of Weeks.
We also have a couple of leftover Star Wars minute, Indiana Jones minute questions. But they were left there. We've had these already. Cast and crew member you most admired growing up versus now. Oh, I should say we have the shoot, where is that? Because the Star Wars Minute did theirs. They answered these. Let me bring that up real quick.
There
You
was
guys
a
chat
fair
amongst
amount of
yourselves.
overlap, yeah?
Yeah, there was a fair amount of overlap. I was impressed. I was intrigued.
Wow.
This will all be cut out. Yada yada. There we go. Okay. Computer's bringing it up. I'll add computer sounds later. Okay, so the questions we had were, it was first was this one: who do you most admire most versus now from the what was it, from the original trilogy? Is that how it was phrased?
Yeah, Star Wars or Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Crack.
Except now I forget what we said. I think I
have
said
no idea.
I think I
don't
said
either.
George Lucas and maybe Mark Hamill. Oh no, I
Yeah.
also said
Yeah.
Frank Marshall because I like Frank Marshall. I'm hearing
Right.
more about him as a younger guy. Pete the Retailer said Mark Hamill and Ben Burt. Ben Burt's a great answer
Mhm.
Yeah.
because you don't
Mhm.
get that at all when you're a kid, but then when you grow up, you're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, that guy's the star of Star Wars. And then Alex said Ralph McQuarrie and George Lucas.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah.
For Father David's question, what does it mean to be human? I don't even know what we landed on. We just talked about it for 10 minutes.
No,
Yeah.
we just keep kicking it around.
Yeah. Alex said it has its ups and downs and it means invasion. And Pete said, you don't have any extra pieces on your ears or nose. Because he was thinking of like aliens and Star Wars and Star Trek and stuff.
Hmm.
If you're
As
human,
long
you
as
don't
you
have any
stay
of that
off
extra stuff.
Instagram.
Hey. Which sequel trilogy Star Wars character needed a rewrite the most? And they both said immediately Finn, but they said it for sort of the same reason that I said Poe, because once they kept Poe and didn't kill him at the beginning of Force Awakens, Finn loses his whole arc. Like there's nothing for him to do after that.
Yeah.
What franchise ended at the right number? Pete said Gremlins right out of the gate, and it took me like 5 minutes to come up with Gremlins. He also said Young Guns, and I kind of agree with that. I remember liking both Young Guns and Young Guns 2. And Bill and Ted so far, but he's worried about 3.
Sure.
And he also said people are going to say Back to the Future, but he doesn't quite agree with that. And I think I said the same thing, maybe. And Alex said what we all said, or at least what Jerry and I said, that he would have said Lord of the Rings, but The Hobbit messed it up.
Yeah, I did definitely not say that.
Yeah, you stayed out of that one. You weren't in the Lord of the Rings chat group. So there you go. Nerds all understand each other and they all think the same way. That's why they all sit together in the cafeteria. We also want to, so there were the only guys left over there are which crew member or cast member would you, and what movie franchise ended at the perfect number. So I think unless you guys have new answers for either of those, we'll just thank them and move on.
No, I know we did bring up the Mad Max stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, even if some people think the Thunderdome was a bit of a dip in the
well, it was
it's not bad.
Yeah, it was a dip.
Still a really good movie.
Yeah.
Meh. I say meh. We also want to thank Tears for Fears and the Carlyles and the Wilder Ride and the Sack News and Tierney should be writing. Oh, Tierney should be writing Steel. Should be all caps, so I know that it's all a part of her name. We also want to thank Tim and Timmy Bricks and Tom and Trinko is just so tired of all these Star Wars. I don't blame you.
That's right. Yeah, it's right up your alley there, Tommy.
Is that from the Dan Whiteley song that Star Wars Minute uses for their theme song?
Oh, I don't know. That's like living in these Star Wars or something, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Weird. I don't know. Maybe he's just sick of Star Wars. Or maybe he loves Star Wars, but he feels bad for all the people who have to deal with them in the movies.
Yeah.
We also want to thank Vibrant Visionaries with Heidi Bennett.
Yeah.
We want to thank Wendy. And we want to thank, what do you call someone who's always wiring for money?
Oh.
Pete, Jerry, whoever gets it first. Or Pete probably sees the answer already.
It's not a school marm. I'm trying to think what else.
You got the wrong guy.
We already had the alarm one, Jerry.
Oh.
This is a straight up good old fashioned
no, what do you got? Somebody's
riddle.
Always wiring for my
Yeah.
I don't know. I give up.
An electrician.
That's pretty good, actually.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
An electrician.
You were unfair in your derision there, Tom.
That was a sincere laugh. That's how I laugh now. We also want to thank when y'all nugless, I scratch my Pete. And we want to thank Zaction.
Hey.
Woo! Bring it
Always
up.
end excitingly with
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave them wanting more.
Better than the penultimate name.
That's right. Got to step up your nugless game there, Jerry.
Yeah, we're always nugless.
That's all we know.
Every episode, Pete gets scratched.
Oh, hey, before we start our Star Wars conversation, we're going to do a shameless plug because I think, maybe even by the time you hear this, but within a few days, my audio book is going to be live and available on Amazon and stuff.
Nice.
So go buy
So,
it.
hey, did you read it?
I did. I read my own book into a microphone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is it going to be on Audible?
It is going to be on Audible and Amazon and something else.
Nice.
What was it hard reading
and
your
iTunes.
own words, or no? Was it a lot easier? We're like, oh, I remember this part.
It was. There was some of that. It was kind of easy in some ways, but then there's also like, oh, really? That's what I wrote. All right. I guess it's too late now.
Oh,
So I listen
awesome.
to a lot of audiobooks, and the burning question in my mind: are you one of the guys that does the different voice for everybody, or does everybody have kind of the same Tom Taylor voice?
I tried to do a slight. I was talking to our friend Josh.
Yeah.
Who makes a living doing this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Back in
Josh
Denver,
Horowitz.
back when we would have
Yeah.
meetings. Yeah, Josh Horowitz.
Yeah.
And he was talking about doing female voices, and he's like, some people just like go nuts and they go, "Oh, I'm a girl."
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
And he's
they're
like, you really
terrible.
don't need to do that. Just kind of put
Yeah.
a slight little thing on it. So I tried to do that. So hopefully that works.
Interesting.
A slight little thing on it.
A slight little thing. That's what a girl
Okay.
sounds like. A slight little thing. It's a slip of a wisp. But yeah, check it out. Check it out on Amazon. In Memory of Todd Woods. That's the name of the book. And I should say, for the love of God, we're here on Patreon. I have my own Patreon over there. Do not stop supporting the Indiana Jones Minute. But if you want to also support me over there, it's patreon.com/IamTomTaylor. And if you support me over there, I'm going to be giving out some free copies of the audiobook. So
Andy,
check it out, man.
For the right amount of money. Unlike me, who's like 6 months behind always with my postcards, Tom
Oh,
will
see?
send you a nice short story written on a postcard. And I got a lovely one.
That's
from him.
right.
Yeah.
That's nice, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fun. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. All sorts of benefits to be had on the internet. It's
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, okay, that's the end of my shameless plug. I feel like everyone's looking at me. I want to move on. Let's talk about robots in the desert. Let's talk about space princesses getting stunned. Let's talk about all that stuff because it's time to talk about Star Wars more.
So R2 and 3PO, R2 walks over to the hatch of the escape pod, or the life pod as it's called in the script. And the escape pods as a kid really, really confused me. And I don't know if it was the Tatooine playset or the movie, but it never made sense to me that they walk into a square door into a round ship.
Well, that's not even the weirdest part. Like once they're in it, you see the thing is flying away from the ship, and they're looking out the back, but that's where the engines are. and
Yeah.
stuff. So I never knew where that window was.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I love that. Like they're
I don't
one of my
know.
favorite-
that
think it's weird.
scene's amazing when they're looking out.
Yeah, but I would. Yeah,
it-
no, you're right.
it's
It always
weird.
seemed like it's spinning and it's rotating, and you're like, so they're looking out, like the window's right in the middle of the exhaust, the muffler.
Or
on
maybe it's
that
like
thing, right?
maybe it's like the Titanic, where the Titanic had 4 stacks, but only 3 of them were active, but they wanted to have 4, so it looked more like a powerful ship. So maybe one of those like jets on the back, with those rockets on the back of the escape pod, is actually a window.
It's just a window. Wow,
Yeah.
maybe.
Just a wow, that's interesting.
It's
Well,
the
what
same
if-
shape.
maybe
It's
they're-
that same round
Yeah.
shape.
Yeah.
well, right before. Wait, did they call what'd you say? A life pod? A life? what-
In the script, it's called a life pod, but
like is it supposed to be a lifeboat?
yeah, it's basically
Yeah,
a lifeboat.
basically, yeah.
So right before like C-3PO, before they get in, like first of all, what's really interesting is that C-3PO says something like, what are you doing? Like you'll be deactivated.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
Like
permitted.
if he tries,
permitted anymore.
yeah,
It's restricted.
right. So you're like, does that mean that, let's call it a life pod? Does that mean that, like, if the ship is drowning or under attack or whatever you want to say, everybody's about to die? Like, there's a certain, it's like a caste system aboard the ship where droids
Yeah.
are not
Yeah.
allowed to, like, they're
Yeah.
not allowed to get in the escape pod.
Yeah.
Is that true? Like, you're like
Probably, yeah.
droids are
Well, they're not allowed to
never
go into
allowed to.
bars. They're not allowed to. Yeah.
That's probably why the guy says, "Hold your fire." There's no life, like it doesn't even occur to them that there might be droids on there. Like, why would there be a droid on a life pod? They're not alive.
Interesting.
They're not
See,
allowed to
that
use
was
those
a
things.
that was a big question. And what's really weird is I want to know. He goes, "There goes another one," and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Wow!" You're like, "So wait a minute. Did Princess Leia have 2? Like, was there a backup plan? Are there like 2 R2 units? You know what I mean?
They had
That both have the
completely
exact
separate
same plans.
Movies, franchise.
Yeah, completely separate movies, like
Oh, wow.
just an alternate universe. Like,
Yeah.
they landed on different sides of Tatooine, or maybe one just went into deep space. Like, what
Or
if
did she actually
Tatooine
send
sucked?
a guy? She sent a guy down there with the plans, or like a copy of the plans or something, and they shot him out of the sky.
Yeah, we
Because they got life
signs.
signs on
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
Well,
That
he
sucks.
said, he goes, there goes another one. Hold your fire.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
no life forms.
But
Must have
does the
short-circuited or whatever.
does the captain? So it's the captain and the chief pilot. Does the captain know they might want to retrieve whatever's in the pod at this point, or is he just
No.
doesn't want to waste lasers?
A laser?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I got to count all the lasers at the end of the day, and I don't want to come up.
Yeah, exactly. Not a penny short. I mean, that's what I
Lasers
want to
don't
know.
grow
You're
on
like,
trees, you know.
why did I could see him saying like, "Don't shoot it. There might be life forms on there."
Yeah,
Hey, like,
Right.
don't shoot it because I want to figure out what it is. Like, that's clearly the princess or the rebels or whatever. Like,
yeah.
send a bounty hunter after it.
And they have tractor beams and stuff. Why not just
Yeah.
grab everything that tries to get off the ship?
Right.
But his statement seems to imply that if there is a living being on it, you shoot it.
Right.
It's also kind of weird.
Well, I got a
Like
question
if-
about that coming up. Yeah, like
Okay.
what their tactics are. Yeah,
But I want to
Well,
I want to go back to something Jerry just said that really disturbed me. Like with them, if they're not allowed into the lifeboat, basically, and then C-3PO says you're not permitted in there, it's restricted, you'll be deactivated. So do droids receive punishment, like for following, like I guess their programming, or like if a droid shows any level of self-awareness, are they punished?
See,
it
this
seems
kind
like I think because they're machines and they're just sort of like they're appliances basically. I can
Uh-huh.
imagine that they would constantly be in fear of not like being punished by being like they would see it as punishment, but really just be like, oh, this thing's on the fritz. We gotta wipe its memory and take its arm off and put something else on and like do stuff to it that the droid would find really offensive and upsetting and horrifying. But to us, it's just like, oh, I'm just trying to fix this droid so it does what it's supposed to do. So
If they are appliances, I don't understand why you would ever make appliances with emotions.
Yeah.
Like that seems like a big
Appli-
poor choice.
appliances, but I'm just imagining my NutriBullet. Listen, I'm
Yeah,
really,
right.
really sorry.
Yeah,
Does it please you
Your
to see me
refrigerator.
suffer, creator?
yeah.
It's just like, I
Like
know.
every time you
just-
open the fridge, it's like, oh, not again. You
I can't
lose some
breathe.
weight.
over the God, it's too hot.
Yeah.
The
I
NutriBullet
smell
again.
like onions.
I'm sorry. It's broccoli with stems again. I don't, but
Put the
what's
lid on.
interesting, I feel like we do see there is like, is it in Empire that there's like kind of this like medieval droid Tower of London?
Oh, that's
Tor-
Jedi. At
Is it
Jabba's
Jedi?
palace.
At
Yeah.
Jabba's
Yeah.
palace,
Yeah.
yeah. So they do torture droids. I mean, that is a thing.
Well, bad
Yeah.
guys do.
Well,
Good
bad
guys
guys,
just take their brains out and
yeah, and that's
Wipe
what
them
them
forget
sucks.
their loved ones and yeah.
Totally sucks. So it does seem like, and even C-3PO says, doesn't they say like we'll be like sent to the spice mines of Kessel, right?
Yeah.
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 Well, so
So
are,
you're
are
like-
they sentient?
They
I'm
should
See,
sorry,
this
Jerry, I
is
didn't
the
mean to
sort of thing that
interrupt
we need to ask Father David.
yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what does
Are
it
they
mean to
more
be
human
human?
than
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I-
I mean, the movie's not good if they're not sentient. Like to me,
Right.
it's not fun. But if they are sentient, then the movie's unbelievably cruel.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, it is.
Well, I mean, not the
I
movie,
mean-
but some of the people in the movie
Right.
are unbelievably
Well,
cruel.
I mean, I'm thinking about whether I want to edit this later or if I want to just say it. We're living in a time where many people are taking, reassessing things that they sort of took for granted regarding how they think of their fellow creatures. I'll just put it that way.
Mhm.
And the people like the human beings on the Tantive 4, like their other fellow humans, are probably used to. They have a way of seeing droids, and it's just an understood thing. It's a societal
Yeah.
thing, and to
Yeah.
them, they're not being monsters. They're just trying to, either fix or correct aberrant behavior that a droid might come up with when he tries to steal plans and leave on an escape pod. Yeah, I think it's just kind of like, I don't think anybody's
Whereas-
being evil. I just think that they don't quite get what they're doing from the droid's
Or
perspective.
is its
Well,
whole
so to me,
back?
I think that that they're still evil. They just
Yeah,
Like, they may not
the
recognize that they're
system is
being
evil.
evil, but-
Maybe the individuals aren't evil.
What's interesting is
I don't know.
what if there was some sort of rebel ship or some famous droid mutiny that occurred when there was some sort of pressure problem that happened on a ship and all the droids ran to the life pods
Yeah,
and they just only the droids escaped like a HAL 9000 type of thing,
yeah.
where they just or they I don't know, they drank all the blue milk and the beer and they they sort of wrought havoc and they opened up the bay doors and they let all the fuel go and everything and then they took the life pods and they're just like what if when 3PO says you'll be deactivated, he really what he's talking about is like ever since 8 years ago there was that droid mutiny on the space cruiser. And now we've had to enact
did just make
draconian laws.
a little
Yeah.
bit better for me, so thank you for that, Jer. That makes it much easier to swallow. It just, I don't know. I can't stand cruelty to people,
Yeah.
or
I'm with you
droids
there.
or-
No, it's
and it
it's
just-
enough to make you roll
Yeah.
over in the morning.
yeah.
I keep thinking like what here on Earth, what's it going to be like when people realize that like plants are sentient or they have feelings? They're gonna be like, oh my god, what have we done for the past thousands of years?
Do you really
Just
think people
like
think that?
Cutting down
Like,
and eating these things.
It's the same thing with animals, and not many people think that.
I know, but people like ignore that. They like actually know
Yeah.
that that's a fact, but they're kind of turning the other. And I count myself among them. I had a delicious bacon thing earlier today, and I felt horrible about it. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Well,
Yeah.
C-3PO says he calls R2-D2 I think a mindless, overweight philosopher.
Don't you call me a philosopher, you overweight glob of grease?
Oh, that's what he.
That's
okay,
where he sounds like Cary
Yeah.
Grant.
right. Thank you. So I'm wondering, is R2-D2 overweight?
No, I think 3PO is being a little cruel himself. He's just sort of like that's R2's shape. That's literally how he was born, and 3PO sort of fat shaming him.
Yeah. Well,
There's
I
nothing
wondered,
R2D2 can do about the way he looks. Not a
I
thing.
wondered, like, what if maybe he means his storage is full? Like maybe that's it. Like he's overweight. Like
Yeah.
his storage is full.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're running on zero memory, and you're on the fritz.
I mean, if
jammed up with
if
too much data.
R2-D2 has looked like that the entire time, how would you
3PO 's
ever
just
know if
being
he's
mean.
overweight?
It's kind of extraordinary. Like, I love this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, but there's an exceptional amount of cruelty in the first
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes of this movie.
Well, certainly. I mean, and we'll get there. But C-3PO he's a number, man.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
number and some letters.
Yeah, he's something else. I mean, he just
Is this part of his
all the
programming?
places he goes. I have
Like, are you
no
gonna
idea.
program a translator to be insulting to people or droids?
That is weird. You would think that he, above all droids, would be very patient and
Yeah.
you know,
See all points of
forgiving
view
and-
and
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what's so interesting is when this is what's at times it's hard to watch, but at other times it's part of their delightful charm, their
Right,
dynamic.
no, they
is,
get,
you know,
they're
he's-
great together.
He's
Yeah.
just he's a punisher when it comes to R2.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's known as a protocol droid. Now, I always wondered, like, a protocol droid, is he? One of these movies was it? Return of the Jedi, where they kind of show C-3PO like, or a C-3PO like showing up with like, tarts and buns and tea, and like
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, kind of like that
At
sort
the
of
very
thing.
beginning of Phantom Menace, you see some of
That's
that.
what
Yeah.
it is. And so is he a
CC-14.
protocol droid in terms of like sort of like a pleasantries droid?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
he
even in
welcomes
Return of the
people
Jedi,
into
you see him. He gets a job as a translator, which is sort of part
Right.
of his
Yeah.
job, like part of his programming.
See, I
Well,
always
so
took
then
it more
does
as
he just-
he's kind of like the butler in an English manner.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
that he knows he's subservient to those above him, and so he's not going to let those below him go without suffering what he is.
Right.
or at least those he thinks are
the,
below him.
He's the footman, and he's taking it out on like the chauffeur or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Who or somebody who he thinks is beneath. It's been a while since
Yeah.
I watched Downton Abbey. I forget what the ranking
yeah,
is.
I do.
Which,
But yeah, like a servant on Downton Abbey, he's if he's caught getting into a life pod, he is afraid that he'll be sacked.
Yeah,
Like it's not just that he'll be destroyed or anything, but you know he's lower on the social
Yeah.
hierarchy chain.
so that's what. So there's a
It
caste.
does go back to what
system.
you said, Jerry. Yeah, caste system.
Yeah. And what's difficult is here's this dude who's this protocol droid, and he's known for being, well, I guess he's versed in protocol of all sorts of 6 million different, I guess, languages or protocols
Yeah.
or the things that come with each different alien culture, and
every
yet.
planet
Yeah.
has their own fork that they use for the salad, and
Right.
what goes next to the plate.
Right. They have to go to finishing school. And he
Right.
but the fact that he turns to R2 and he just beats him, which
Yeah.
sucks, is so human.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what's interesting. It sucks, and
It
yet
is, yeah.
he takes on this. He's very non-droid like in those moments.
Right.
Yeah.
We also
Yeah.
know, though, like even before he comes out and says it, basically at the very end of the movie, we know that 3PO loves R2.
Right.
That like he
Oh,
goes out
yeah.
of his way more than once to like
Yeah.
make sure
Yeah.
R2's okay and that he's still around and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's the first thing he asks about too, when whenever there's a problem or like.
Yeah.
I think even at
Yeah.
the end of Star Wars, right?
Well, even
Yeah.
when he sees him in a few minutes in the Sandcrawler, like his
Yeah.
eyes
Yeah.
literally light up.
Oh,
He's-
thank God, it's R2D2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does R2 know? He's always like, oh man, this guy's always just jawing and he's flapping his gums, his metal gums.
Yeah.
Well, I would like. Do you think R2 and 3PO were friends before the beginning of this movie, or like was R2 friends with that silver C3PO that was walking behind him and he just
Right.
got stuck with this one?
I think they in the radio drama, which again used to be canon, I think they had worked together like right before the movie started.
Uh-huh.
But they didn't really know each other that well or something.
Okay.
Like they're just starting to get to know each other or something like that. But R2's definitely like he's in a way he's kind of like Linus or something. Like he's kind of unassuming and he kind of goes about his thing, but he's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of insight and he kind of knows what's up.
Yeah, and a lot of
And
patience.
his best friend can freak out and
Yeah.
be worrying about stuff, and he'll be like, "Listen, C3PO, you're the only droid I know who can take a simple thing like an escape from a Tantive V4 and turn it into a problem."
So you think C-3PO is Charlie Brown?
I guess, yeah, kinda, yeah. Pigpen.
You know what I hate though?
Yeah.
I hate that I like when I asked that question, like, did they know each other before this movie starts? I want to ask those questions because those are the questions when I watched this movie I wanted to ask.
Right.
But it's hard to today when they made all these, like they create a backstory to every single thing.
Yeah,
And in most cases, I hate the backstory and I don't
Right,
want it to
right,
be
right.
there. Like it's,
No, right.
but it's still hard not to let that color my thinking.
no, for
I
for
go back and
sure.
forth. Like as we were talking about this just now, I wasn't thinking about that at all. But of course, you're right. I mean, there's 3 movies before this where they're hanging out and stuff.
Yeah.
I
wasn't
always
thinking about that.
assumed that they were like best friends.
Okay.
I don't know.
Kurt
Well, I
Russell.
mean,
What
at the
it
very
seems
beginning, they're like walking down the hall together,
yeah.
Mhm.
and then he
On the way
turns
to
to him.
lunch.
He's like, "Did you hear that?" You know what I mean? And it's like he's
Yeah.
just from the from the jump, that's who he's talking to. And then when they
Right.
both cross the hallway, neither one of them gets shot.
Yeah.
Right.
There's just they just little things like that. You're like, yeah, they're best friends.
So next time I don't get shot with somebody.
Yeah,
Lefts.
That's
that
your
means
guy.
you're thick as thieves.
I have a question. When they're on the life pod, I want to call it the escape pod because that's what Kenner called it.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I think that's what it
that's
says
fine.
in my book. They're looking at the thing, looking out the window, wherever the window is, and 3PO says, "Oh, the damage doesn't look as bad from out here." And it's a like you know that the Tantive V4 is in there underneath, but it's just they're looking at the Star Destroyer, and I've always wondered since I was a kid. Does 3PO think? Does he not know what his ship looks like? And does he
I
think
have
that
that
the Star
exact same
Destroyer is
question.
his ship?
Yeah.
It's his
I have that
ship.
exact same question.
And he's like, "Oh, it doesn't look like we took one single shot. We're doing great. We
Yeah.
don't look like a ship that's been taken over by another ship."
Yeah,
Don't
but
seem to
that's
be
you're
boarded.
like, but that's because it's like been gobbled up. I
Right.
never know
But
what
does
he's
he-
talking about when he says that. I never did know what he's talking. Like, of all the things to say as you get into an escape pod.
Yeah. I kind of love that because it is
I
like
do
no matter what way he means it, it's either funny that he doesn't get it, that that's not his ship,
Yeah.
or it's funny that he's just sort of matter of fact enough about like, oh, I expected the Tana V4 to be in much worse shape.
Yeah.
Well, it sounded like we really took a beating, but they'll
He's
fix it.
remarkably
It's all right.
sanguine in this scene.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
He
But
is.
because right afterwards, and this is the only example I can think of offhand, because 3PO asked R2 a question. He says, "Are you sure this thing's safe?" And R2 kind of beeps a reassuring response, and 3PO
Mhm.
just says, "Oh," and
Oh.
accepts it and just
Yeah,
casually
Right.
Thanks, R2.
accepts reassurance from R2. And I can't think of another occurrence of that in the movies off the top
Yeah.
of my head.
But you know what's crazy about that is it really does build C-3PO's character right there. You're like, okay, just
Yeah.
to be clear,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
48 seconds prior, you had a laser blast next to your gold ear,
Right.
and you jumped in, and you went on, and then the next thing you say, "Are you sure this thing's safe?"
Yeah.
You're like,
Like
that's
now that
where
he's
you
out of
went.
immediate danger,
Yeah.
it's kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, check it out, spaceships.
Yeah,
And then he's
you're just
immediately
like,
"Oh, wait, is
what do you
this-
mean?
is this-
You
is
would
this
be asking
space-worthy?"
that.
I
it's
would
like-
be asking that.
It's like
That's
like
that's a droid with an anxiety disorder right there.
totally.
Right.
Like it's at the very end of Jaws as they're pedaling back to shore. He doesn't turn to like Rorschach doesn't turn to Hooper and be like, "Are you sure these, but you know these kickboard bubble shark
Yeah.
buoys are safe?"
Are you sure those aren't man-eating seagulls?
Yeah, exactly. What are you talking
So-
about, man?
So we get our the first large segment of deleted scene right here.
Mm.
And
Oh yeah.
again, I don't think I'll bring up a lot of deleted stuff, but I feel like these are part of the movie since they're in the storybook and they're in the
Yeah.
radio drama and stuff. But this one starts off funny because it's got Luke racing his land speeder through like this calls it a tiny settlement. And an old woman runs out of the way and shakes her fist as he goes past and says, "I've told you kids to slow down."
Oh my gosh, that
Which, yeah.
sounds very much out of Phantom Menace.
It does. It does.
It does.
But
It does.
But then Luke bursts into the power station, and there's Fixer and Cammy, and Fixer's like, "What's that noise?" And Cammy's like, "Just Wormy," that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Luke runs into Biggs, and he's surprised he's back, and Biggs tells him he joined the academy,
Right.
or that not that he joined he got signed
That
for his
he's-
first assignment on board the Rand Ecliptic.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that
Yeah.
he's planning on joining the rebellion, right? That's when he
Yeah.
tells him that. Yeah.
Yeah, or no, he doesn't tell him the rebellion part yet.
Oh, okay.
That's a later. That comes a little bit later.
Oh,
This
really?
is
Okay.
still, it's because all the friends are around, and then Luke
Oh,
says,
yeah.
"Oh, I almost forgot. There's a battle going on," and he makes them all go outside. And he hands them his binoculars, and he says, "There's a battle going on," and they're like, "It's just a ship sitting up there. It's like a tanker." And then they all kind of make fun of Luke, and he's like, "Ah,
Nobody
Really?
likes me.
You know what's
Yeah.
interesting is you think you'd be able to see that, I guess. I mean, they're in space, right? They're not in that planet's
Mhm.
orbit.
no, I think they look like they're in orbit.
They look like they're pretty close.
Or,
They
yeah,
do. They look
close.
like they're close, but that's all relative. You don't know how big Tatooine is.
Right.
It could be like the size
Yeah.
of Jupiter.
Right. And like, imagine looking up during the day, and oh, that's the International Space Station shooting, attacking a
Right.
satellite.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, he does have his binoculars. Let's be fair. That helps.
Is there a name for those?
They got to be
Macro
Macro
binoculars.
binoculars.
Oh, macro binoculars. That's right.
Oh, if they're macro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the latest.
Why didn't you say? Have you guys ever been in a situation where there's like a Biggs in your life and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to go do the blank. I just signed up for the academy. I'm going to,"
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, "God, I'm here the entire
Yeah. You
Yeah.
stay here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go have fun.
Did you ever
Yeah.
have that happen? When was it?
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
I
if
don't.
have
Yeah, I know it's
literally
happened
had
because I
that.
know, and I had the same feeling when I was watching American Graffiti.
Yeah.
Like someone's going off and you're still stuck there, but
Yeah.
I can't think of a specific example.
I mean, Tommy, you're a year older than I am, so you went to college where I had to go
Oh,
back to, sit at the stupid high school tables again for one more year. I was like, God, Tommy's going off to the academy.
I
Can't
had a
believe
cape. I came
Yeah.
back and lorded it over you. Yeah.
it.
Don't worry, kid. One of these days you'll go to college and you'll sit at a different table with different mooks. So how? Yeah. When does that scene end? That cuts. Is it just them like making fun of him and stuff?
And
he
then
Biggs
Fixer
walk off?
says, Fixer ends up saying, I keep telling you, the rebellion's a long way from here. I doubt if the Empire would even fight to keep this system. Believe me, Luke, this planet is a big hunk of nothing.
What's
And then-
weird is like I get why they cut this stuff out because you can imagine that it would kind of slow stuff down and be a little draggy and weird and kind of jolting going back and forth between the ship and that stuff. But then and I nothing against Biggs. I love Biggs, but I don't know why they kept him in the end of the movie. It
Yeah.
doesn't make any
Yeah.
like, and it worked for 40 years. Like we didn't have a problem with it, but it kind of doesn't work. Like who's Biggs? Why does Luke care about this guy? Like Beggar's Canyon back home. Wait, is that guy from Tatooine? Like at the end of the movie
Yeah.
when they're like, attacking the Death Star, like, wait, does Luke know that guy?
Right.
He's really
Yeah.
upset that he died. Who is he?
But then like this little scene is nice because it gives you like you see he's that big brother that went away, and Luke was sad when
Yeah.
he went away, but he's got this, I mean, not literal big brother, but kind of like big brother figure.
Mhm.
And you can tell like Luke just looks up to him in awe and he admires him. And Biggs is kind of like, hey kid, because everyone else in the shop there is making fun of him. There are like 4 other people in there making fun of Luke because he got the battle wrong, and
Yeah.
he's always excited and everyone's making fun of him. And Biggs is kind of like, hey kid, come on. And Biggs is the cool guy, and he's like, you're all right, kid, and I'll take you under my wing.
Right.
Mm.
That is cool. I like him. I like Biggs. But then we get Princess Leia back on the ship being brought before Dark Bader. What's his name? Darth Tater. I never knew what his name was when I was a kid.
Is that
First
right?
time
You know,
saw it.
I have to say I didn't realize how prominent her freckles were until after I watched
Really?
What was the movie? Rogue One. And they
Oh, really?
the fake Leia had like really pronounced freckles. I was like,
Really?
wow. And then when I was watching this, I was like, wow. She really did kind of look like that.
Wow. I'm kind of looking at it right now. I don't see them that much, but I believe you. I'm watching on a tiny little computer, so who knows?
Well,
That's
freckles.
funny.
The freckles come out in the sun, so
Yeah, this lighting isn't really quite right.
Yeah.
Well, do we ever see her in the sun in this whole movie? I don't know if we do.
I wonder if you're in space like that, you probably got to take a hell of a lot of vitamin D.
Yeah. I think they pump it through the air system.
Yeah, they must. They
Like the gravity.
Yeah. Just add some gravity and some vitamin D to everything. We were talking before about somebody just said something about like something sounding like hokey, stupid Phantom Menace stuff. And there is a lot of dialogue in this excellent movie that we love that on paper sounds really kind of Flash Gordon-y,
Mhm.
forced, hokey. It's kind of like Darth Vader. Only you could be so bold.
Right.
Like if you read that line, you'd be like, "Ooh, this is going to be tough."
It sounds
Yeah.
very
Tough
comic
movie to-
booky. Like it sounds right out of a comic book.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like Vader later on is like, "There'll be no one to stop us this time." You're
Oh,
like,
I
Yeah.
love that.
Really?
He's
Yeah.
totally giving a pep rally to the troops.
Yeah.
The
He
troops
is,
of the two
but
guys.
But it sounds so like mustache twirling.
Oh,
like just-
totally.
exactly, comic booky kind of hokey stuff. But it works.
Yeah.
Like it kind of. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's because of the actors, just they kind of sell it the right way,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
if we're dumb kids and so we accepted
It's
it. I don't
really
know.
incredible. He's like, see to it yourself. There will be no one to stop us this time. And you're like,
Let's
I
go, guys.
yeah, I love it. And what's interesting is those lines are unbelievably clumsy and terrible, and yet
Yeah.
they never ever that never occurs to me. Ever.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
And
I
even this little exchange here, where she's like, Darth Vader, only you could be so bold, and he's like, the Imperial Senate will not sit still for this, or whatever she said, and he's what did he say? He says, "Don't act so surprised, Your Highness."
Yeah.
I don't know. None of it
Don't play games with me, Your Highness.
is that what he says.
Yeah.
Gosh,
It is? Wait, no, it's not.
Yeah.
You're reading
Oh.
the script.
yeah,
I'm reading
you're
the
reading the
script,
script. That's incredible.
canon.
It's like not for a second do I think that it's bad.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know
It's
why
not.
that
It
is.
works
Like
here.
right there, right at that little space there between clumsy, dumbass, sentences and dialogue on paper, and then
Yeah.
watching it and witnessing it in real life. If you could figure out, and it's great, if you could figure out what the difference is right there,
Yeah.
you'd be
Yeah.
a trillionaire.
Is it
Yeah.
because this is like the very beginning of the movie and there's like a big giant samurai robot guy saying
might
this stuff
be.
and and part of you is like, what is going on here? Like, I don't know who this guy is or what his deal is. And it's like anything he says is either going to slightly go right past you or it's going to seem appropriate just because you don't know what is appropriate. You don't know how it's supposed to work.
Well, he
Yeah.
literally says, "Take her away."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. What is this, Newt Gunray?
I have to say though, as a
Who's
kid,
with me?
when he says "Your Highness," I had no idea what that meant. But to me, it sounded like the dirtiest thing a person could say. Like I thought it was like "Your Hiney" or something. He's like he called it "Your
Wow.
Highness," and every time I heard that as a kid, I was like, "Oh,
He's talking about the princess's hiney. That's low.
Oh my gosh.
That's dismissive.
That's so-
Oh, you know what? We were talking last time or a couple episodes. I don't know, a while ago. We were talking about how, like, even like the opening crawl is kind of like, well, that doesn't really contradict anything that we saw in Rogue One and stuff.
yeah,
It's kind of impressive. But then right here, Vader says several transmissions were beamed to this ship, which is
Yeah.
not what happens in Rogue One. It's like a
Yeah.
a physical disk drive or something that they hand off to each other.
yeah,
But also, like, if that's the case, like that line right there kind of contradicts like the way the rest of the movie sort of works. Like they're
Right, 'cause they seem to be
looking for a
physical
physical
plans.
thing that's somewhere. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
on the shit. It's on that escape pod. We have to go down to the planet and get that.
right.
It's not like scattered out. It wasn't sent out to a bunch of different people and everybody has a copy.
Right.
It's not on the internet or anything.
That bothered me though. Like, is there not? Do they not invent photocopiers in the Star Wars universe? Like, it's weird that
Yeah.
they think there's only one set of plans.
I think
Especially
because it
if
was
it were
1977 and nobody knew at all how computers worked, that made sense
maybe,
to them
yeah.
or something.
well, what if
They had Xerox.
Yeah.
They had
maybe
Xerox though.
They did.
what
Yeah.
if Darth Vader is overestimating their technology? And he's like, several plans, or whatever were beamed to this ship, and they're kind of like, he still thinks we have beaming capability.
Yeah, don't nobody say anything.
He doesn't know we're working on dial-up.
That's good.
Or maybe
It's hidden in my boot.
maybe it basically is hidden in her boot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe those aren't secure connections, and so if you hide
Yeah,
something
maybe.
in her boot, then it's like, yeah, that's the best way. They're not looking. Maybe that was even smarter. Maybe they beamed false plans or
Oh.
whatever. False.
Is hiding something in her boot? Is that British for Her Highness?
Check her
Well,
boot.
Yeah. Why you?
I've got a politics question. So because she says she's a member of the Imperial Senate.
Oh wait, I'm just gonna say I'm lost. I'm just gonna interrupt you and say I'm lost. None of this makes any sense at all.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I don't. You're like what it. So when they know that the ship was boarded, what?
But if she's a senator, also wouldn't that make her Vader's boss?
Yeah, but we find out later that the Senate is on its last legs and it's about to be
Yeah,
put down.
but at this part, they're still talking about. They're worried about the Senate getting sympathy for the rebellion.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't get that at all.
I think the movie starts where the system is really in flux and like the old Republic and the old Senate is still nominally in power, but they're on their way out and they don't really like even that guy next to Vader who's worried about the Senate getting sympathy for the rebels. He doesn't even quite get that, the Empire is actually the real boss now, or like the
Yeah.
Emperor is, and like the fleet
Holding her is
they can do what they
dangerous.
want. Yeah. Holding her is dangerous.
I don't understand any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I just explained it to you. It was perfect.
Yeah,
It was a
I don't.
stellar,
But
glowing
so
explanation.
okay, smart guy. Explain
All right.
this line.
All right.
Send a distress signal and then inform the Senate that all aboard were killed. So
That
why
is
does that help Darth Vader?
because he is keeping Leia secretly. He's like, if word of this gets out, it could generate sympathy for the rebellion. Holding her is dangerous.
So
So
he's
Won't
saying
killing
Vader
her
is saying-
generate sympathy as well?
Or
are they just gonna say they don't know she's on the ship?
He sent a distress signal. It's not even like the Empire was never there. Like the Tantive 4 had.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
oh, that's what
Oh,
it sent
I
a
didn't get
distress
that.
signal.
I always thought it was send a distress signal, we're under attack, but
Yeah,
you're
me
saying
too.
send a distress signal, we're about to
Right.
crash.
I think.
Yeah,
so,
but wait a minute,
That's
wait a
kinda
minute,
how I
wait a
took it as a
minute.
grown up.
Wait a minute. He says, and then inform the Senate that all aboard were killed.
Well, if they were to
Yeah.
crash, they
That's
could be
not
killed,
not
I
not
guess.
that
But
all
yeah,
aboard were dead.
Oh yeah, we're killed in a crash. Perished. I don't know.
Hmm.
We can.
I'm
wordsmith this for Lord
more
Vader.
side Jerry on this than side Tom. I think it still feels.
I mean, I'm grasping at straws.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
actually know what it means.
I never. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, like no one
Because I
to
fully
know.
get when he says, send a distress signal and inform the Senate that all aboard are killed. I fully expect that when the camera cuts away, they're going to line up everybody on the ship and shoot them, except for the
Yeah.
princess. So,
But is he doing this to cover his tracks, or is he doing this to buy some time to interrogate the princess and to find the
I
plans?
don't know, because it's weird. He says to the guy, I have traced the rebel spies to her, and now she's my only link to finding their secret base, which makes you think that he's been finding rebel spies all along and killing them before he can get information out of them. And now he's left with just Princess Leia. He's like, I should have asked those guys more questions, and then maybe I'd know where their base was.
he's got a quick trigger choking finger.
Yeah.
And the guy even says, he's like, she'll die before she tells you anything. He's like, I
Yeah.
know. She probably will. I got to be really careful. I'm too good at this.
I'm too good, too bad at this.
Yeah. Takes a
What
gentle
I
touch,
want to know
which I
is
do not
why
have.
there's so much going on to unpack. Why does that
Yeah.
guy know that
Mhm.
Princess Leia will die before she tells you anything? Why does he
I think
know
he's a
that?
fanboy. I think he's like a Princess Leia fanboy. Like he's seen her in the Senate, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, she's great."
Oh,
And
okay.
he's kind of built up in his mind, like, "Oh, she died before she gave in to you, Darth Vader."
Yeah, I wonder if I don't know, maybe it's like is there Senate, are there parties within the Senate like we have, and so maybe he is, even though he's an imperial officer, maybe he has sympathies for some, maybe he's into Princess Leia and what she's not what she stands for, because she's not, I don't know.
But
You're right.
it-
It's weird.
We don't know that the Empire's monolithic at this point either. I think.
Right. They're about to become completely, totalitarian. They're like within this movie, they dissolve the Senate and that's it. And it's just the
Yeah.
Emperor. So they are on their last legs.
But at this point,
And-
it may still be like we're the military of the Senate. Like
Yeah.
we are under the nominal control of the Senate.
Right. He probably in grade school was like, oh yeah, the Senate's the thing. And they answered
Right.
the Emperor or whatever and
Right.
stuff. And so
They're-
he's sort of thinking that
yeah.
way. But now, within an hour, the Senate's not even a thing anymore.
Well, so
which means
does-
that right
Right.
now the Senate's barely a thing.
So does the Senate think that this ship is on a diplomatic mission? Like, is the story going back to the Senate, like the one that he's feeding Darth Vader? Is it like, okay, so there was this ambassador ship that ran amok or whatever, ran afoul of some, whatever, asteroid belt.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent a distress signal, and the ship was, pummeled to smithereens by asteroids. And that's
Right.
what was going on. Like, is that the story? Or does the Senate know? Or is just some people in the Senate know? Like the rebels within the Senate would know that this ship, was on a
Yeah.
secret mission?
I think the rebels within the Senate, if there are any, like Leia, yes, they would know about that, and they would think it was suspicious that their ship got blown up and everybody perished.
Yeah.
But the rest of the Senate would probably believe something along the lines of what Leia is telling Vader, like, no, we're on a diplomatic mission. We're going to Alderaan for some reason.
Right.
Happens to be where I live, but we're on a mission there. We're on a mission to my house.